Good morning, Meg. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today about the menopause. We've started our journey at the Queen Elizabeth on putting in support and awareness training for managers, and it has been the single best thing that we've done in a long, long time. I've had staff managers coming to me and said, oh my gosh, since we've had this training and since we're able to speak about it freely, I've gained in confidence. I feel like I'm understood, and I no longer feel scared to come into work and say, I'm a flush. So this is brilliant. We know we're at the start of our journey. It's much bigger than the ladies that work within our organisation. It's our families at home. It's the people we walk by in the street. Caroline, our Chief Executive, is a really strong leader. She leads from the heart. She's very open, honest and candid. So today's chat is really to get all of your knowledge. People at work have been buying your new hot, which is absolutely fabulous, available to purchase on Amazon, everybody. I found it, so you were the Britpop queen in the 97s, and you was next to the Spice Girls and Princess Diana, you was the most written about lady at one point. And then I read that you didn't leave your house for 3 months. You didn't want to wash. Yeah. You couldn't drive anymore. So I guess, tell us that this is the menopause. How has it affected you?
Wow. Okay. Well, you summed it up pretty well there, Amanda. It was really frightening because, yeah, I was like this really outgoing person. It's like probably one of the most outgoing people. I would just be like, let's do this, let's do that. I mean, my family were always like, okay, calm down, mum, calm down. I mean, I have ADHD as well, so it's like tripled. And all of a sudden, I just, you know, started to not feel that brilliant. But, you know, I just kept thinking, maybe it's life, maybe it's life. And then slowly, I just started to feel very anxious, but like really anxious. And so I started going to the doctors and saying, look, I'm, you know, and I couldn't really describe how I was feeling. I just didn't really know how to put it into words. And I used to just sort of burst into tears. And then they used to throb me off with more antidepressants. Then I'd take them. And then 6 months later or 3 months later, I'd go back and say, they're not really working. They change them. They give me another antidepressant. And at the end of it, I was, this was when I was 49, and then it was just after Christmas and New Year's Eve. I was with my partner and we were away in the countryside, and I woke up on the New Year's Day and I just was like, I don't know what happened, but I just went into this fear. Like I said, look, we need to go home. You need to drive me home now. He was like, what? I said, look, I want to go home. I want to go home. I need to go home. I need to go home. And then we came home, and then I didn't leave the house for 3 months. And I used to set the alarm, get up with my daughter and my partner. Look, I'd get up before them and I'd put my training gear on and put my hair in a ponytail, go and make breakfast, and like everything was okay. And then I used to say to Inez, oh, you can get an Uber to school now. I was hiding this really well. And then she was like, yeah, I'm 15, I can get an Uber. So I put her in an Uber. She was all excited about that. No one knew. Then my partner would go to work, and then I would just go back to bed, pull the duvet over and just be like, sort of look at the phone and then send an email when it came through, and then I used to just put, I'm in a meeting or I'm training or whatever when I wasn't doing anything. And then 4 p.m, come downstairs, light the candles, you know, put some, make sure that it looked like there'd been something going on in the kitchen. And then everyone used to come home from school, you know, she'd get snacks, she'd go into her bedroom, you know, just want to FaceTime her friends or whatever. My partner used to get back about 6:37. And then I used to go, oh guys, I've had a really busy day. You know, can we just get a takeaway? And of course they'd all go, yes. And then my partner would be watching the football or whatever. And then I just go, oh, I'm going to go and watch Netflix. So I didn't really have to, you know, basically I could disguise it quite well, except when we came in the bedroom. And then I really felt like I wanted to be intimate because I wanted cuddles and I needed to be held. But the minute I would cuddle him or make a pass on him, it would, you know, or he would just think, oh, wow, that means Meg's up for it. But of course, my libido and everything was like really shut down, and even that. So all this stuff was going on. I had no libido. The thought of having sex made me feel ill. Everything was going on. And all this was completely different for me. None of this, you know, going out, having sex, not being overwhelmed. I mean, these were all things I had never come across in my life, and all of a sudden they just bombarded me. And I was like, wow, maybe this was the colourful 90s. It's documented. I loved acid house. I loved, you know, I spent 20 years of having a great life, and it was very colourful. So of course, my mum used to say, this is all going to catch up with you, Meg Matthews. And so I was like, oh. So I kept thinking as well, I was in a lot of shame and a lot of stuff was coming. I thought, oh my God, maybe I'm just having a nervous breakdown. Maybe everything that I've done in my life is caught up with me. You know, you hear about these things. So then I was very embarrassed. I used to get out of bed, and then all of a sudden my joints, like my ankles, everything was so stiff. I'd wake up in the morning after a night's sleep, but I felt stiff as a board. I was getting out of bed like, oh my gosh. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm not even 50 yet. And I'm like stiff as a board. So all these things were going on. And I just couldn't say it I couldn't sort of relate it to anybody, ask them. It was just like, and then I was getting darker and darker and more depressed. So then I thought, right, I better get to AA, to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, because I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I thought, oh God, I'm just going to pick up a drink if I don't do something. So I went to a meeting, shared in the meeting that I'm going to be 50 on March the 14th. I haven't left the house. It's the first time I've left the house. What's the use? You know, I've arrived at 50. And my life is over, and why don't I just grab a bottle of vodka and just go and have a drink, because if this is how I feel, it's so uncomfortable, I can't sit with this anymore. I'm just like sick of being anxious, overwhelmed, not sleeping, you know, everything was just like, wow, it's a waste of time. So as I left that meeting, this woman tapped me on the shoulder and she said, oh, Meg, I think you're going through the menopause. Well, I sort of turned around, a complete stranger, and she said, here's my number. And she put my number in your phone. So I put my number in her phone and kept thinking, God, who does she think she is? I only imagine the menopause being like the Golden Girls or like my nan. Not me. God, you know, and you know, it's all about what's on the outside. Externally, I look great, but inside I'm just a quivering wreck. And then I got home and I thought the penny dropped in, of course, in the Uber. And I called her and I said, okay, I'm calling you, can you? And then she started talking to me. And the minute she talked to me, everything was just like, oh my God, everything she said. And then she was the one who said, take this. And she said, estradiol gel. And she was sending me photos. No, we were FaceTiming, that was it. And then she basically was showing me tester gel and testosterone. And then she started telling me that there's an NHS menopause clinic in the Chelsea in Westminster, and there's one in the Royal Free. And this woman was Brazilian. She was Brazilian, and she knew more than me. I'm not saying Brazilians don't know, but I mean, I'm like, you know, and I'm learning all this off her. And she's like, you go there and you ask, say, Bettina Pears and Nick Panay, he's also head of the NHS menopause clinic. And I'm like, and she's telling me that these are all in Harley Street, but they run that as well. So I was like, wow. So then I made an appointment the next day at the GP. They couldn't see me for 2.5 weeks. So I went to my gynecologist, who was saying to me, Meg, I have been telling you for ages with your Mirena coil that you don't have periods, so you don't know when your menopause is. And that's what was happening. So of course I had the Mirena coil. I didn't have spotting. I was one of the women that has a Mirena coil but doesn't have a period. And anyway, so then I went back to my GP 2.5 weeks, put all the stuff on the table and said, is this available on the NHS? And she just went, oh, I don't know. So I said, get your book out. So she got the book out, we were flicking through it. And then it all was, except the tester gel, which she couldn't, because it's only made for a male, she couldn't give it to me, but and then I told her she could refer me to an NHS clinic, but she had to look it up. So then I asked if I could go to anyone, and she said, yes, you don't have to go to one in your borough or in your place. So then I did go to the Royal Free, and I'm into the Chelsea in Westminster, and I've been on their books ever since, and I go back once a year. But you know, that is knowledge is just not out there. And I get my testosterone gel from them, and, you know, and then once a year I go there and I have my bloods and I get weighed and I have my blood pressure done. And that's what it should be like for every single woman, like you were saying, in Caroline, in surgery. So that was my story.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with you, Meg, because when you look at this, the menopause is going to happen to every woman in the UK. In some form, it might go lightly, it might go more hard. And I really do think we need to be educating our GPs and our professional staff in the NHS to look out for it and actually signpost people in the right direction. Because we know, don't we, AJ, even with just our little menopause cafe, we're calling it, what a difference it's made, hasn't it? On people just being able to share their concerns, their anxieties, to be signposted to the right people. But actually, it should be for everyone in the UK, I think. I feel really strongly about it.
I'm glad, because I feel as strongly as you do, Caroline. I really feel that it's so unfair, because like I was saying before, I feel quite privileged because I was able to go that next day to my gynecologist. But most people in the UK can't afford £280, you know.
Yeah.
And then even when you get to the NHS, you don't know what to do because they don't know. So like me, I just kept going to my GP, but I'm not blaming them. They just didn't know, because when I go in and I've got 8 to 10 minutes, I just burst into tears all the time, because I don't know how to describe it, because it's nothing that, you know, that you know, they don't understand that there's a lot of mental health issues with the menopause, and we know that estrogen affects the brain, but they don't know that. The 34 symptoms that are out there, and you're giving, I was just giving all the ones of, like, you know, I was not having I've never had a hot flush in my life, but I've had 24 of them. Do you know what I mean? I've had the aching joints, I've had the dry mouth, I've got dry mouth syndrome now. It's a nightmare. It feels like I've drunk bleach.
Do you think, going back on it now, if you'd known to look out for it, you would have been very different at the time? Because I think myself, because I thought I was getting really depressed. My GP told me it was because I had a big job and my life was too busy. And God bless him, he didn't know any different. And it was only when I did my own research, I thought, this is what I'm going through, and insisted on having my bloods done. And then I got some medication and the therapy I needed. But I think now I would have been very different, because kind of like, it cost me relationships, it cost me a couple of friendships because I was so awful. I couldn't peaceful, and I became the biggest bag in the land. You know, my kind of like, even my marriage nearly went off on the other scale because I just couldn't talk or communicate. So I really think if people knew how to look out for it as a healthcare professional, but also as a person, it would make a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think that, you know, if we just educated, we need to educate women and men, but, you know, like you say, if they know the signs, what to pick up for, because they don't, and that's the thing. So, you know, I think what is it? So only 90% of women in the menopause will have bad symptoms, 90%. And I think, what is it, only like something like 20% of women are actually getting help.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's such a small percentage if you think about it, you know. And also we now know that it's all about prevention. And I think that is really important, because you need, what, you know, like you say, your marriage, I'm not with my partner anymore, because after my 50th birthday, we did the 50th birthday, then we broke off. So, you know, it was like, you know, it just wasn't going to be sustainable, because too many awful things had been thrown at each other, and words and whatever. And it was all because, like you said, friendships and everything. Like I'd said awful things to him. So I wouldn't really come back from that. But it was all about in a place of desperation and like, just fucking leave me alone sort of thing, you know. But I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah, it's just awful,
scary, and it's scary, and it's, you know, and also my mum had passed away. So I had Aeneas doing her GCSEs, and my mum had passed away. So I was worried about my dad. He's in Norfolk. He's near Cromer. And I come from a village called Gimmingham near Munsley. So I am very connected to you.
Oh, you're related to us.
It's where my dad lives now. Yeah,
I was going to say,
girl.
You're an Norfolk girl. Norfolk girl.
That's why when you were saying King's Lynn, that's why I was so passionate about doing it.
Oh gosh, that's really good. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was like, I was in the Norfolk Evenings Press, or what's it called? Norfolk Evening News, is it?
Evening News, yeah.
Yeah. They did a whole thing. My dad was so proud. He was like at the golf club like that with the interview. Yeah. But so that's why I connected doing it with you. Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant, because the other thing is as well, it's happening in a time in your life when other things are changing. Like you say, your kids are either doing exams, going off to university. It's kind of like, it's the isolation of everything else, isn't it? You know, and you're beginning to look at your own mortality, aren't you? A few of my friends had got cancer, and unfortunately one passed away. You kind of like think, God, this is me next. I'm the one to go next. So I'm losing my marbles. Things are changing in my life, and it's not normal anymore.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we keep talking about it. Like Meg, you said when you said to you, at the AA meeting at the end, I think you're going through the menopause. She was like, oh my God, who is this crazy woman saying this?
Yeah.
But we should absolutely be comfortable about saying to someone, hey, do you think some of your symptoms are about the menopause? Instead of just going home and saying to your mate or your partner, oh, Beryl today, I'm pretty sure she's going through the menopause. Say it.
Yeah.
Except if someone...
I know, but I tried doing that, Amanda. I've got lots of my friends, you know, they're telling me all the things that are going on, but they just don't want to hear it. They really don't. And I'm just like, you know what? And like, I'm really funny, like one of my best friends, and she's like, you know, she just, it's like that I don't know whether, because she's so close, I speak to her every day, we're like this, and she was still adamant, like it was only the beginning of this year, she was like, you know, she was like pulling her hair out, she was going through everything I was going through, and I just said, look, go and get your bloods done. No, go and get your bloods done. And then she called me, she said, look, I'm going to get my bloods done. I said, thank God. But it took about 3 months of her being absolutely deranged. I mean, to a point where she, you know, was like, wouldn't leave the house. She was having all the same things. And then when she had her bloods done, and then she went to see Dr. Harper, and then she just called me up. She said, oh my God, I can't believe that my best friend is this menopause expert. I said, no, you were adamant. And then she's like, I know, but she said, I really didn't, just thought, no, it's not happening to me. And I just said, I know. And this is what happens. You know, women just really just think that they can out-talk it, sort of thing. Like not really, just keep pushing it down because they don't want to. And they do that. They're, you know.
And also, it's kind of like, well, that's my life over. But you've said that it was the start of a new life for you. Now, about what people think. You've got 29 piercings. This too shall pass. Tattooed on your chest. And that is exactly right. This too shall pass. This is not the end of your life. It's a brand new chapter. And
absolutely,
a lot of stuff behind you. And like you said before, you cared so much about what people thought about you back there in the day, having the best of this. And like you said, spend money on experiences and memories. You don't care what anybody thinks about you anymore.
No, but it took a lot of work for me to do that. But it's like this whole new cycle. I've never felt more comfortable in my skin, more powerful, more, I've got a purpose every day. And this has all come, I mean, I didn't think at 54 I'd be setting up a company and how bloody hard it is. And, you know, and having a bookkeeper and accountant and all these things, which is just like, oh gosh, you know, and having to have board meetings because I'm a limited company. I'm just like wanting to go, you know, is this real? And every day there's something. But I would have ran a mile away from that, all that responsibility. But now I'm like, bring it on. And, you know, if you would have told me that, you know, 4 years ago, I would have just been like, no, there's no way I'd be doing this. You know, so there is.
Yeah. So I think one of the key messages for our staff and the wider NHS, because this will go out wider on the NHS, it can be a metamorphosis for people, can't it? You can actually go through it and come out of it really good in yourself, in your life, with your family, and do something completely different, can't you?
I agree totally, because it, like you say, it brings everything back together. Like I went on holiday with Aeneas, and out of it, if everyone knows, you see I've got my dog Ziggy, that my big dog, basically that came like sort of blackmail dog, because my daughter, basically they kept going and wanting to do all these road trips and everything, and I was just feeling the worst. And I was like in the house, and I was just like in the air conditioning, and I'm the biggest sun lover, and I couldn't go out in the sun. And then every day I felt nauseous and I had headaches, and I was just feeling like every bone was aching. And I just sort of didn't leave the house for 2 weeks. And within that, because I didn't do anything, and they sort of blackmailed me into getting her a dog, because I didn't, like, you know, I wasn't really going out for dinner. You know, we'd done this whole holiday and they planned all these road trips and things to do. And I just didn't leave the house. And at the end of it, I got back. And then at the age of 16, she got like a 12-week-old puppy from Cambridge. And I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? But, you know, within this side, she was so clever. She used to climb up bed and go, oh, look, Mum, look at this. You're not coming with us today. We having to go on our own. I'd be like, yeah, you don't mind. She'd go, no. And then she'd go, have you seen this puppy? So, you know, it was like, I was like, oh, so out of it, I always look at Ziggy and it always reminds me of where I was and how bad it was. And it only took rubbing on some estradiol gel between my inner thighs and taking the progesterone tablet at night and rubbing testo gel on my arm. That was it. And it brought me back, you know, to where I am today. And that's all it was. And that's how powerful it is.
Yeah. So what one key message would you have for our staff?
Talk about it. It's so powerful, talking. I mean, that's why I stay sober, because I open my mouth every time I don't feel good, or I'm anxious, or I'm worrying. You know, as soon as you talk, you take the power out of it. So if you can share with your friends, don't be shy, just try and talk about it, or talk with your husband, or get the new hop, which is really easy because it looks fun and it looks funky, and it's like, you know, this is it. It's not all dowdy. And it's like, if you can talk with your workmates, or be the brave one. If you're the brave one out the group, take it as your responsibility to lead the conversation. Because I'm quite open, so I find it easy. And I know that people who don't, I will talk in a way that I know is not too much for them, but will get the conversation started. So if you're with your peers and you're with everyone and you know that you're the one, then you take the responsibility, you start the conversation and lead it.
I think that's a brilliant message, isn't it?
We've got two very, very strong leaders here. We've got Meg, now at 54, setting up her own business. We've got you, Caroline, been through it, an amazing CEO, highly regarded in the NHS. This doesn't mean to say that, you know, the fog that you go through menopause, the feelings of imposter syndrome, where you feel they're not good enough anymore. Look at you guys rocking it. Fine examples for people that, you know, speaking about, we've been there, we've got through it. It is, at the end, it is a new beginning.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So thank you, Meg. I'm going to leave that there because I'm not sure how much recording we've got left. So some final words from both of you before I stop recording, please.
Go on, Caroline.
Thank you, Meg. So we know you're a superstar. I was making AJ laugh. You were my idol when I was growing up, because we're exactly the same age. I was like, oh my God, I want to be like that girl so much. But even now, because you've gone through it so well and done such brilliant things with you, I want to be like you. So a huge thank you.
Oh, no, thank you, Caroline. And you, what you're doing, I think that we can really make change, and I'm really excited.
Thank you.
Definitely. And you, AJ, for getting us all together.
Yeah, it's great.